With her thoughts on the government's plan, we're now joined by Sarah Miller. She is with the Canadian Climate Institute. Ms. Miller, thank you for being with us.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I want to begin here with the spirit of the plan because when you look at it, there are targets, there are some dollar figures, not really hard numbers when it comes to those targets. So are you pleased with what you're looking at right now?
At a high level, I would say today's plan is a major step forward in adaptation planning in Canada. And yeah, I'm very pleased about what the government came out with today. I think it turns Canada from being a real laggard on adaptation planning at the national level to catching up with our peer countries around the world. So it's a good day for adaptation policy in Canada.
Now, is it the legal requirement that there will be targets met? Is that what you're particularly happy with?
Yeah, there are a few different elements that I think make this plan particularly strong and set us on a good foundation for more effective action going forward. I would say the setting of medium-term outcomes, so moving away from a tendency that we've had to date to really look at long-term aspirational goals, but leave out the more medium-term steps. That's being addressed now with this strategy. So we're starting to see shorter-term outcomes, and particularly we're starting to see the government has proposed some concrete targets with specific percentages for changes that they want to make, as well as specific dates. So that's a major step forward in terms of our ability to move strategically and to measure how we're doing down the line.
Now, the federal NDP, they've responded to this plan. They say not enough money is being committed today to really make a difference. They say only about a third of what's actually needed is what the government is proposing. Are you worried that the government is not committing enough funds to this?
I think funding is only one part of the puzzle here, and obviously it's an important part. But if, as the minister suggested today, this funding that was announced is truly, a down payment on future funding and meant to kind of kickstart some of these more ambitious actions, then I think that's a good thing. But yes, we need to see more investment, not only from the federal government, but from all levels of government in Canada going forward. But one of the important things about having a strategy like this is it allows any amount of funding to be more strategically allocated and to have more of a line of sight on how well that money is being spent and whether we're hitting the outcomes that we want to hit. So no amount of money in the world without that kind of foundation is going to be as effective as it could be in improving resilience.
But that said, the money announced today, it's what, $1.6 billion. That's the commitment. And that commitment comes as the healthcare system struggles to meet basic needs, when Canadians are struggling to deal with affordability, many asking for more government help. How do you convince Canadians that these are worthwhile investments to be making?
Absolutely. One thing I would say is that it sounds like a lot of money, but actually what we've found, and we've done some research on this recently, is that it costs a lot more not to make these investments. So we found that for every dollar invested in proactive adaptation, we can expect to save between $13 and $15 in total costs down the line. So really it's a story of making these investments, making sure they're made on good data and that there's a good system for tracking progress and ensuring accountability. But we need to make these investments to be able to avoid the worst costs that we can expect from climate change down the line. So it's an important moment to look kind of beyond the immediate term and think about the years and decades ahead and what we can do to protect the economy and to minimize the impact on households from climate change.
And I guess the projections that you're sharing there is based on the cost of climate impacts already.
Absolutely. And we know that there are already major climate impacts starting to happen and starting to take a toll on Canadian households and on the bottom line of governments. So we have recent modeling that suggests that as soon as 2025, we can expect $25 billion in losses compared to a no further climate change scenario in the 10 years from 2015 to 2025. So it's already a significant amount of money. And we find that if we don't take further measures to adapt and also to reduce emissions globally, that we could be looking at costs in the range of $100 billion and potentially up to 500,000 jobs lost in Canada by the mid-century.
Sarah Miller, really appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you for the time.
Thanks for having me.